Hello, this is Mike Lodge. Today in American history, what we saw happening in Washington, D.C., and we saw them storm the Capitol, is not what America is about. We had a peaceful march going on. We had people in support of President Trump. No harm there. We had people in support and trying to express their voices about a fair and free election. No harm there. But the problem that happened is that this march, this group, who were marching peacefully, were infiltrated by an evil side of America. Individuals who want to do harm. They're not on the left, they're not on the right, but they want to do harm to the American government. They're anarchists. Now, I'm speaking to you politicians as you sit in Washington, D.C. I place the blame on this on your shoulders. For the last 4 years, the nation has seen an impeachment try. They have seen nonsense about Russia. They have seen nonsense about Ukraine. They have seen all of this stuff going on. People calling each other's names. People not being civil. We saw Maxine Waters out on the streets and yelling at people saying, attack the Trump administration and anybody who works for them. Anybody in government, attack them. We had Antifa that was burning down this nation, and no one in Congress on the Democratic side would condemn this violence. We had businesses burnt down. We had churches burnt. We had people shot and killed and maimed. We had government offices attacked. We had statues being torn down. We had all of this anarchy going on, and yet no one on the Democratic side said one word about this destruction. So, Democrats, I'm speaking specifically to you at the moment in Congress. What you did is you justified violence by saying nothing. You justified the destruction of the rule of law by saying nothing. The American people were watching this and they were saying, why in the world doesn't government do anything? Why is it that we see all of this fraud in government going on, and yet the FBI does nothing, the Department of Justice does nothing, and Congress does nothing? Instead, violence is justified by your silence. So imagine being an American out there seeing this, knowing that nothing is being done. Corruption continues to grow in our government, on both the left and the right. We see one side going fully to a socialist type of government. The American people don't want that. We do not want any more anarchy. But yet you don't listen to what the American people have been talking to you about. For 4 straight years, and especially in the last 2 years with Antifa and Black Lives Matter on the streets causing destruction, and members of Congress saying nothing. But tonight, when something happens against the Capitol, all of a sudden, you have these individuals coming after Congress and coming after the Senate, coming after the Capitol, and now you decide to stand up and say this is wrong. But as anarchists, Black Lives Matter, Antifa were destroying our nation, destroying our capital, destroying our very history, you said nothing. America has been sitting out here for a long time now. And we see this injustice going on. So you act as if you're surprised and shocked that this happened against the Capitol, when you justified breaking the rule of law. They saw our government not enforcing the rule of law. They saw our government lying to the American people. They saw our government trying to take down a presidency. And yet you sit there and you say, why did this happen? It should never have happened. But yet you allowed Antifa to do it to the nation for the last 2 years as they destroyed our country. I am shocked by what happened today. We have seen so many peaceful marches start up and then end into violence. We've seen it in so many different cities where protesters that were legitimately trying to say something about Black lives all of a sudden were destroyed by a terrorist group of Antifa and Black Lives Matter groups. The voice that wanted to make a statement was drowned out by violence, and government allowed it to happen. The media allowed it to happen. They decided to ignore it. They said it was okay for them to do it. They were justified for them to do it. Violence was justified. The media endorsed it. Members of Congress endorsed it. So now we sit here today and we see a government that was attacked by anarchists again. And all of a sudden now, because they came after you, members of Congress and members in the Senate, they came after you and took over your capital, now you think it's okay to say something. You should have said something a long time ago. But you remain silent. So don't be dismayed if you think that what happened today is something out of the ordinary or something out of the norm when it's been happening for so long in America. But you said nothing. So if you have any condemnation about what happens today, you better sit there and think before you talk, because what you have done is said nothing, and you endorsed the destruction of the rule of law. So what happened today is not the American people's fault. Because we've been watching this for a long time going on. But yet you in Congress, you in the Senate, said nothing. You said nothing. You condemned nothing. You tried to stop nothing. In fact, a lot of you said they were justified for it. Members of Congress said they were justified to go out there and riot, create anarchy. They were justified. Members of your own Congress said that. And not one single member of Congress condemned those other members for endorsing the destruction of the rule of law. No one condemned them for endorsing anarchy. So you, members of Congress and the Senate, you have a lot of responsibility. If you do not start enforcing the rule of law, even on your own members, if you do not start enforcing the rule of law and demanding that the FBI and the Department of Justice do the same, and that each member of Congress has an ethical oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, but they also have an ethical duty to act ethical within the job that the American people put them into. If you do not start working together, if you do not start communicating, if you do not stop calling people names within the halls of Congress and out on the political trail, this will not stop. There will not be a United States of America. There will not be a united people because the American people are frustrated. Members of Congress and Senate, let me say it one more time. The American people are frustrated. They're angry at you. We have a lot to get done here, and we as Americans need to unite together. And the best way that we can do that is taking some responsibility of our duty as an American. A lot of us live in communities that need help. Please focus on your communities. Ask the questions. What needs to be done in my community to make it safer, to make it a viable economic place where people can work and have jobs, where we have good schools that are teaching the history of this great nation. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Because everything that this nation has gone through, we have learned from it. It has been a lesson to future generations. Get involved in your churches. Get involved in getting those people off the streets of this nation who are sleeping in tents every single day, who are addicted to drugs. Churches, get involved in your own communities. Open your doors and stop remaining silent. With your doors shut, church members, ministers, pastors, by keeping your door shut, you stop the involvement of your church and your ministry and the love of God going into your community. Open up your doors. And for those governments who continue to shut down communities, you're doing more damage than anything else in the world. Stop it. Think about the American people first. Stop thinking about political power. Because the American people, I'm saying this one more time, the American people are frustrated and they are angry at what is going on. Now I speak to the American people. Do not give up on this nation, because this is a great nation. This is a nation that has done so much in such a little bit of time. We are a very young country. We're not old like Europe or China or parts of Asia. We are a very young country, and people look at this country for motivation on how to make their countries better. We are such a baby country, and yet we have done such great things, and people want to erase that history. We have made mistakes, but we learned from it. We have made mistakes, but we have corrected it. We have made mistakes, but we have made things better. Americans don't give up. And please, my loving fellow Americans, don't give up on this nation. Continue to move forward. Continue to make differences in your communities. Continue to choose the right people to lead. Do your due diligence on these individuals to see exactly where they stand. If they are anti-American and pro-socialism, we have a problem. Because that is not what America is about. America is one where we believe that anybody can do anything that they put their mind to, with the support of their community, the support of their family, the support of their churches, the support of their government. The government needs to change. Government needs to listen. In order for change to happen, government has got to listen. And Americans have got to listen to other Americans. You may not agree with them, but you can listen. And you can speak to individuals in a way that you can solve problems. Sometimes in life, and sometimes I am a certified mediator, so I mediate so many things in life, from divorce to business to real estate to whatever I'm asked to mediate. There has to be that point where people put things on the table and we discuss it and we come to an agreement. And sometimes, yes, we have to meet in the middle to get things done. So Americans, stop criticizing your fellow Americans. If you don't agree with them, have a conversation with them. You explain your side, let them explain their side, but both of you begin to listen. Start listening. So the great things can be done for this nation by working together. Government, you start doing the same thing, because so far all that you have been are spoiled children in a schoolyard fighting, and you have gotten nothing done. And pretty soon recess is over, and you've accomplished nothing, and the American people get frustrated, they get angry, because they see no respect for the American people. Because you have gotten so involved in politics, you have become so involved in power that you have forgotten to listen to the voice of the American people. Today should never have happened. Those that infiltrated this group and created mayhem and violence in the nation's capital should be brought to justice. Just as Black Lives Matter violence needs to be brought to justice, just as Antifa and other groups who are creating violence need to be brought to justice, and you members of Congress have got to support that. If you don't, then you're failing the American people. This nation will come together. This nation will survive. This nation will survive any president. We have, over the history of our country, we have had some doozy of presidents who were bad. But we still survive. And we still work together. It's been a tough day. But we are Americans, and we can get through tough times, and we can do great things, and we can rebuild, we can re-energize our nation, we can begin to work together, we can begin to clean up our communities and make them better, we can create better paths for our children, we can do so much. If we can go to the moon, we can certainly build better paths in education. Because so far, our education system has failed us because politics have gotten involved. So today is a bad day for America. But it's also opened our eyes to see exactly how frustrated and angry that the American people are. And it's not just the right, it's not just the left, it is America as a whole, because we see America in government, in Congress, and in the Senate out of control. Let's pray for this nation. Let's work together. If any of you want to start a dialogue with me, do it. Send me a text at 818-252-5682 and I will respond to you. This nation is a nation that works together and makes a country into something great. But it takes both of us, all of us, to work together. And it takes for Congress to get off their high horse and begin listening to the American people. Stop listening to your party leaders, because they are leading you down the bad path. Start listening to your constituents, because they will tell you what needs to happen and what they want happen. Pray for America, my friends. Pray as hard as you can. Thank you for listening to me. I'm doing this at almost midnight. But I felt that, I didn't even play any of my show's music. I didn't play anything. No commercials, no nothing. Because I wanted to talk to you heart to heart. And I wanted to have this conversation because I know a lot of you are hurting out there today as you see this happening in our capital. But remember, government is responsible for what happens in that capital. And we are responsible for putting the right people in that capital to represent us. And those individuals who are sitting in the halls of Congress and the halls of the Senate, start listening to the American people. This is Mike Lodge. I'll talk with you soon. Good night. God bless.